I never imagined I'd hear my wife's name coming from the back of a delivery van, followed by a confession that shattered my entire world. I shouldn't have heard it, but I did. And what I discovered in those few minutes destroyed 7 years of marriage. If you've ever felt that gut instinct that something's wrong, stay until the end because I ignored mine for too long. My name is Daniel, and my wife's name is Rebecca. For 7 years, we were solid, or at least I thought we were. But over the past 6 months, something had changed. The warmth between us cooled into polite coexistence. Our conversations became transactional. Bills, schedules, household tasks. Nothing real, nothing deep. Rebecca started coming to bed later, always with her phone. She'd scroll endlessly, smiling at the screen in ways she hadn't smiled at me in months. When I'd ask what was funny, she'd say, "Just work stuff or something my sister sent." I believed her because I wanted to, because questioning your wife feels like betraying the foundation of your marriage. Then the packages started arriving. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Rebecca had always enjoyed online shopping, clothes, home decor, random kitchen gadgets, normal stuff. But the frequency increased. Packages arrived almost daily, and they all came from the same delivery service, the same driver. His name was Marcus. I'd seen him a few times. Mid-30s, friendly smile, the kind of guy who made small talk while you signed for packages. Rebecca always insisted on answering the door when he arrived. She'd hear the truck pull up and practically sprint to meet him outside. Said she didn't want the dogs barking and waking the neighbors. Made sense until it didn't. I started noticing how long those doorstep conversations lasted. 5 minutes, 10, sometimes 15. Way too long for a simple package delivery. And Rebecca's entire demeanor changed on delivery days. She'd check her phone constantly, glance out the window, fix her hair, like she was waiting for something or someone. One evening, I came home early from work. Rebecca was in the kitchen smiling at her phone with an expression I hadn't seen in forever. Genuine happiness, the kind that lights up your whole face. Her phone buzzed. She read the message and actually giggled. "What's so funny?" I asked casually. She jumped like I'd caught her doing something wrong. Nothing, just a meme. But I'd seen the sender name before she locked her screen. Marcus Delivery. Why did she have the delivery guy's number saved in her phone? Since when do you text the delivery driver? I asked, trying to keep my voice light. "Oh, he just lets me know when packages are arriving so I don't miss them," she said quickly. Too quickly. It's easier than tracking everything online. It was a reasonable explanation, but something about the way she said it felt rehearsed. Over the next week, I paid closer attention. Every time her phone buzzed, she'd check it immediately. If I was nearby, she'd angle the screen away from me. 2 weeks later, I left work early with a migraine. I pulled into her driveway around 2 p.m. and saw Rebecca walking down the street away from her house. I watched from the car as she approached a delivery van parked 3 houses down. Marcus was standing by the driver's door. When he saw her, his whole face lit up. They talked for a moment. Then Rebecca glanced around, checking if anyone was watching, and climbed into the passenger seat. My heart was pounding. Maybe she was asking about a package. Maybe there was a delivery issue. Maybe this was completely innocent, but innocent people don't look around nervously before getting into someone's vehicle. I sat there for 20 minutes. The van windows were tinted, so I couldn't see inside. Finally, Rebecca emerged, smoothing her hair and adjusting her shirt. She walked back home quickly, checking her phone. When I walked inside 5 minutes later, she was in the kitchen acting completely normal. "Hey, you're home early," she said brightly. "How was work?" "Fine," I lied. "How was your day?" "Boring, just some errands, same old stuff." She just looked me in the eye and lied. And I realized with crushing certainty that this wasn't the first time. Once I knew what to look for, the pattern became obvious. Every day around 2 p.m., Rebecca would announce she was going for a walk. She'd be gone for 30 to 45 minutes, always the same time, always the same duration. One afternoon, I followed her from distance. She walked 3 blocks to the same spot where I'd seen the van before, and there it was. Marcus's delivery van parked in the shade of a large oak tree. She got inside without hesitation, like this was routine, like they'd done this dozens of times before. I watched the van rock slightly, saw shadows moving behind the tinted windows, and I knew exactly what was happening in there. What started as conversations had evolved into something neither of them could take back. Those weren't just talks anymore. The van had become their secret space, their private world, where my marriage didn't exist. I went home and threw up in the bathroom. A week later, I decided I needed proof. Real proof, not just suspicions and circumstantial evidence. I parked down the street from their usual meeting spot and waited. At 2:15 p.m., Rebecca walked past my car without even noticing it. She was too focused on getting to him. She climbed into the van. I waited 20 minutes, then got out and walked closer, staying hidden behind a fence. That's when I heard Marcus on a phone call. His window was cracked open, and his voice carried in the quiet afternoon air. "Dude, I'm telling you, this woman is incredible," he was saying to someone. "She's married, but her husband's clueless. She comes to see me every single day right here in my van." My blood ran cold. "Yeah, in the back." Marcus continued laughing. "We cleared out the packages and made it work. She comes alive when she's with me, man. Says I make her feel wanted again. Her husband probably hasn't touched her in months." He kept talking, describing details I won't repeat. Details that made it crystal clear what they'd been doing, how long it had been going on, how Rebecca had told him our marriage was dead anyway. Each word was a knife, twisting deeper. I waited until Rebecca left, watched her walk home, fixing her hair, checking her reflection in car windows. Then I walked straight to the van and knocked on the driver's window. Marcus's face went pale when he saw me. He knew immediately who I was. "Get out," I said calmly. Too calmly. He stepped out slowly, hands raised slightly. "Look, man, I don't want any trouble." I heard everything. I interrupted. "Your phone call? Every word about my wife, about what you've been doing in this van." He opened his mouth, then closed it. What would he possibly say? "How long?" I demanded. "I don't know, you don't lie to me." My voice cracked. "How long have you been sleeping with my wife?" He looked at the ground. 2 months, maybe 3. 3 months. 90 days of betrayal. 90 days of my wife walking to this van, climbing inside, and choosing him over me. "It wasn't supposed to happen," Marcus said quietly. "She was just friendly at first. We talked. She said she was lonely. Things just escalated." "Things don't just escalate," I said coldly. "People make choices. You chose to sleep with a married woman. She chose to cheat on her husband. Don't act like it just happened." Marcus had nothing to say to that. "If I ever see you near my house again, I'm calling the cops and your employer. Stay away from my wife. Stay away from my street, or I will make your life hell." He nodded quickly, got in his van, and drove away. I walked home shaking with rage and heartbreak. Rebecca was in the living room, scrolling through her phone, probably texting him. "We need to talk," I said. She looked up, and something in my face made her freeze. "I know about Marcus. I know about the van. I know everything." Her face went white. "Daniel, I can explain." "Explain what?" "How you've been meeting him every day for 3 months. How you've been sleeping with him in the back of his delivery van while I'm at work." She started crying. "It wasn't supposed to happen. We were just talking at first. He listened to me. He made me feel seen. I'm your husband," I shouted. "If you felt unseen, you talk to me. You don't go sleep with the delivery guy. You stop caring about me." She shouted back. "You work all the time. You come home exhausted. When was the last time you asked how I was really doing? So this is my fault." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You cheated on me because I worked too much." She covered her face with her hands. "I'm not saying it's your fault. I made a terrible choice, but Daniel, we haven't been okay for a long time. Then you file for divorce. You don't sneak around behind my back for 3 months." She kept crying, kept apologizing, but the words meant nothing. She made her choice 90 times over 3 months. Every single day, she walked to that van. She chose him over us. I left that night, stayed with my brother for a week while I figured out what to do. Rebecca called constantly, texted apologies, begged me to come home so we could work it out. I reported Marcus to his delivery company, provided dates, times, locations. They transferred him to a different route immediately. Rebecca claimed she ended it with him the day I found out. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. It doesn't matter anymore. We tried marriage counseling for exactly 2 sessions before I realized I couldn't do it. Every time I looked at her, all I saw was her walking to that van, choosing him, lying to my face. The divorce was finalized 4 months ago. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Affairs don't begin in beds or in the back of vans. They begin in silence, in emotional distance, in the moment when one person stops feeling heard and someone else starts listening. I'm not saying Rebecca's affair was my fault. She made her own choices, but I ignored our marriage problems until someone else filled the void. I left. We stopped talking, stopped connecting, stopped being partners. And in that vacuum, someone else stepped in. If you're feeling distance in your relationship, don't ignore it. Don't assume it'll get better on its own, because while you're waiting, your partner might be finding connection elsewhere. I heard my wife's name from the back of a delivery van, followed by details that destroyed me. But the real destruction started months earlier in the quiet moments when we stopped fighting for each other. Hit subscribe if this story resonated with you. Drop a comment if you've ever ignored red flags until it was too late. And remember, affairs are built on secrets and silence. Don't let either one take root in your relationship. TH.